And China's president, this is very significant, has now decided that he will not continue at the G8 meetings in Italy. He is dealing with horrific violence in the streets in the western region of China, members of the Muslim minority clashing with the Han Chinese, leaving over 150 people. You know, the numbers could be very different than that, but those are the official reports, that 150 people are dead in this violence so far. Tuesday, mobs flooded into Muslim neighborhoods armed with meat cleavers and clubs. State media says that riot police have arrested almost 1,500 people. Joining us now from Washington, Stephen Yates, former Deputy Assistant to Vice President Cheney for National Security Affairs. Stephen, welcome. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people look at this story and they're not sure, you know, who's against whom and, you know, what side the government is on, what side the U.S. Might, you know, be inclined to support in all of this. Break it down for us, you know, in terms of the Uyghurs and the Han Chinese and whose side, you know, the government looks to be on right now.
Right. Well, there's a compelling human story behind all of this. This part of China is really its far west, and for centuries really was not part of China. Ethnically is not Chinese. In recent years, after the PRC was established, the government in Beijing has been sending a lot of Han Chinese people to occupy and start up businesses in this far west area. So what's happening is that the Muslim majority is shrinking in that area. They are getting less advantageous jobs in their home area, and then when they travel to other parts of China, they're being treated somewhat like slave labor, which is the original dispute in Guangdong province in China's southeast that sparked this round of violence.
So you basically have the Han Chinese who've been sent into this area, to sort of populate it because they're not crazy about the Muslim population of Uyghurs that are in that area.
Right.
And then you put on top of that very difficult economic situation in China and, you know, people pushing others perhaps out of jobs and businesses in that area, and you've got a lot of inflammation of tensions, right?
Absolutely. It's dry tinder and it's burning up.
All right. So talk to me about, you know, as the United States looks at this, as President Obama looks at this, you know, what should the approach be in your position as someone who has made these kind of recommendations in the past to presidents?
Well, number one, I think that it's really time to step back. And the Obama administration has really tried to place as a priority climate change in all of its major relations. And in fact, the senior and economic dialogue between the U.S. and China is scheduled at the end of this month, with Secretary Clinton and Secretary Geithner going to talk to China about economic issues and also climate change. But as a revolt is taking place in Iran, problems in North Korea are going on, and now this in China, I just don't think it's feasible at all to imagine pushing that kind of a priority. I think the United States needs to make clear it stands with those who seek freedom. This is a civil rights issue, and
so
this president more than any other has to understand.
I'm sorry, Stephen, but I just want to make sure people, who do you stand with in this situation? The Uyghurs, I would assume.
Yeah, I think you have to stand with people who seek their economic and political rights at home. And it's really, the burden is on the government, who has had too tight a control on that population to really manage it more effectively.
Boy, there's a potent irony here. I guess irony might not be the right word considering the loss of life that we're seeing here. But the Uyghurs who were released from Guantanamo, and we, you know, just sort of the population on the whole has never been that familiar with this term before. And now you see these people being, you know, being locked down and killed in many cases in the region that they live in China. And you kind of get why the Chinese did not want to take the Uyghurs back to China in light of all this, right?
Right, but it's two sides of the same coin. You can also understand how an oppressed people like that, facing that kind of a violence, are easy recruits for a fundamentalist movement elsewhere.
Exactly.
So really the Chinese treatment of this region sparks that kind of networking as well.
Yeah. Stephen Yates, thank you very much for helping us understand this very troublesome situation in China, and one that President Obama has on his plate as well. Thank you, sir.
Well, President